Good. I'm feeling excited.
Okay, that's great to hear. Let's check in with Helmi. How are you, Helmi?
I'm good as well. How's everyone?
I'm good. I see Dio is doing this. Maybe everyone can show up with the signs, how they are doing. I can't speak for everyone. This is me. Okay, let's check in with Sarah. Sarah, how are you today?
Very good, thank you. Freezing still in Cape Town, wishing
Yeah,
for
I
warmer
see all the
weather.
thumbs up. Thank you, Sarah. I see all the thumbs up. So I'm assuming that everyone is good for today. So welcome to day two. Yesterday you guys got an opportunity to speak to the project partner, and you also got an opportunity to explore more let me just read this. Okay, thank you. And you also got the opportunity to learn more about the challenge and understand the challenge further that we are going to be working on. And today you'll be getting an opportunity to do observations where you're going to be speaking to the stakeholders who are impacted by this challenge, and for you to learn and understand and gain insights from them. So, with that being said, I am going to hand over to Zola, who is going to do a warm up for us. And so remember, with warm ups, this is to also get us into the mindset of the day. So for today, it's also about showing empathy, it's about being curious, and see in terms of how some of these mindsets actually help us to embody those mindsets that we want you guys to take through as you go through the day. Over to you, Zola.
Cool. Thank you, Tebogo. So today, because we're going to the next phase of the design thinking process, which is the observe, we're going to be doing an activity which is about listening, and listening with curiosity and listening with empathy. So the task is basically we're going to be splitting you into pairs. Everyone is going to go into breakout rooms in pairs. And you're going to decide in your breakout room who is person A and who is person B. And the task is basically for person A, whoever begins, preferably person A begins, will tell an authentic story about something in their life. Maybe it's how you grew up. Maybe it's how you chose your career and how come you come to be in the career that you're in. Maybe it's about how you met your partner, your wife, your husband, but it has to be something authentic in your life. And then that person A is going to speak for 5 minutes, uninterrupted, and the role of person B is to just listen. You don't make any comments, but just to listen, just be curious about what they're saying, and just offer an empathetic ear. And then after 5 minutes, we're going to send a message in the breakout rooms so that you change over to person B, and then person B does the same and listens for 5 minutes. And after those 5 minutes are done, we're going to send you all back to the plenary, to the group space, and then we'll do some reflections in that space. Cool. Are there any questions about the instructions so far before we send you into the breakout rooms? Okay, so Lola, and are the breakout rooms ready?
Yes, they are.
Okay, great. So in your breakout rooms, you're going to decide who's person A and B, and then person A begins. Yeah.
Should I open the breakout rooms now?
Please open the breakout rooms now.
Is Tebogo
here.
Should I take her out of the breakout rooms?
Yeah. Please, there's something urgent that I just realized. Oh, can you put the two of us in a breakout room?
Okay. Hi, Tebogo. Can you please join room 17? Diego wants to talk to you about something.
Hello, welcome back. Welcome back, everyone. So I'm so curious to know how that was for you. So I'd like maybe 2 or 3 people to share. What was that like for you? Anybody willing to share right now? Oh yes, Hashim?
Yeah, so you'd like me to say that about the experience or talk about person B's story?
Yeah, about just the listening process. How was it for you listening and you sharing? Yeah.
Oh, it was lovely. It was enjoyable getting to learn other people's stories. The hard part is just formulating it in a way that's actually interesting for the person not to doze off or sleep, or for you to keep track of your thoughts. But no, generally it was nice and it sparked a lot of curiosity.
Nice. Good. And Sarah?
I found it really interesting, but also really difficult because the person I was speaking, she was telling such an interesting story, and I wanted to ask more questions like, oh, wow, and not to react. Like, I think when she first started, I was like, oh, yes, and then I realized I'm not supposed to be doing that. So it was really difficult to listen and to not engage and to ask more questions or, yeah. So I found that part difficult, but I absolutely love listening to a story.
Mm, great. Yeah. And anybody else that has to like to share like how that was for them? Brenda?
Yeah, it was also really interesting for our team, and I remember in the beginning we all said 5 minutes is a lot to talk about myself, but we both ended up using up the time, and I realized that it takes discipline just to tell your story. At some point I was trying to think, like Sarah has said, like, am I going off script? Am I confusing her too much, giving too much details? But then because she was just listening attentively and nodding and smiling, I felt like, oh, maybe my story is interesting. So it felt nice to be listened to.
Mm. And what about the listening part? Like what, when you're in that place of listening, what was your experience with that?
Yeah, it was also, it gave me that discipline of really trying to learn who this person is from their experiences. At some time, I found myself comparing like her experiences to mine, like how different is her life to mine. Maybe if there were some aspects that I shared that she also shared related to that topic, I was trying to analyze and think, oh, we must have led such different lives and things like that. So it took a lot of discipline not to overanalyze, but rather just listen to this person and try to really learn who they are rather than pick up my own things that I want to analyze. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Yeah, so that's that part of listening with empathy. Yeah. Samuel?
For me, it was a really exciting and enjoyable activity because I got to learn so much about her. And I also realized that despite coming from, well, very different corners of the continent, we still have a lot in common. Because we're talking about our childhoods, and I realized they're not so different. We have so many shared experiences. And I feel like, I got to know her much better because of that.
Cool, thank you. Thank you. And Kwanisa, you've got your hand up as well.
Oh, yes. I just wanted to say, Hashim mentioned that he was maybe processing while he was telling his story that it could be a bit boring to the other person. And it was not at all, because I was the person with him, and it was incredibly interesting. And then what I found was when I was telling my story, I was like, oh, is this a bit boring? But he kept like nodding, and I think him just doing that like held the space really well. And I was like, okay, I feel so comfortable speaking to him and telling him the story, and he's enjoying it. So I think just the body language of nodding and making me feel heard was really good.
Great. Yeah, that's great. So, I mean, this is such great feedback because we're going into quite an important segment, which is the observing. And obviously, when you're listening with curiosity to somebody's story, then there's so much information that you can get. And I'm hearing like some people were really listening with empathy. And that's actually what we need, because obviously the design thinking process is very much user-led, and the user is actually quite an important part of our discovering. We really need to be empathetic listeners and hear what the other person's perspective is. So great, just great actually, just listening and hearing everybody. And now I'm gonna, I think it's back to you, Tebogo. I'm not so sure if who's doing the. Great.
Okay. Thank you so much, Zola. Thank you for running that warm up for us, and I hope you do take some of the mindsets that you learned today as you go into interviewing other people. How do you show up in the space in a way that you create an environment where someone feels comfortable enough to share their story with you, and you're able to listen in on their experience without imposing any judgment, and also showing some excitement that, you know, I want to hear your story. So also think about that as you move into observe, which is what you'll be doing for the rest of the day. So with that being said, I'm going to share my screen with you, and just to take you through what is observe. Can you guys see my screen?
We see an agenda.
Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, observe.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so today you are moving into the second phase of design thinking, and you are still in the problem solving space. So at this point, you are still discovering your user needs, and you're still trying to understand what is the actual problem. So remember, you have this generic challenge statement that you're starting with, but now you want to understand actually what is the actual problem that exists within this initial challenge statement that we are working with. So now you'll be moving into observe, which is the second phase of the design thinking process. So why is observe important? And the reason why we do this so that we can gain empathy for the users and stakeholders. We want to understand them. We want to step into their shoes so that we can hear their perspective and be able to solve solution from their own perspective. The other thing is we want to also discover opportunities, unexpected insights, and tension. So this is an opportunity for us to reserve our own assumptions about what we think is the problem, and actually be open enough and curious enough to hear their story so that we can uncover what are the challenges from their side and their perspective, what tensions exist, what gaps exist. And the more we are open and curious, we are able to actually discover some of those unexpected insights. And the other reason is how the user experiences the challenge. So yesterday we unpacked as a team in terms of what is our own understanding of the challenge. And today we are going to now get the perspective of the user with regards to what is the challenge from their side. And we have multiple ways in terms of how we conduct observations. So with observations, that's where you go outside and you actually observe people's behaviors. Okay, I'm just gonna, sorry. The WhatsApp thing is just making noise on my side. I'm just gonna stop it now. Just delete. Okay, let me just share my screen again. Apologies. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so with observations, that's where you actually observe people's behaviors and patterns, and you become curious in terms of why is this person behaving this way? Why is this person picking up papers this way? So the more you observe people's behaviors and patterns, the more you have a better understanding of seeing also where the gaps exist within the challenge. And then the other one is to immerse yourself in the experience. If you were looking at the challenge around understanding how learners actually learn. You go into a classroom and sit with learners and be a learner yourself, and immerse yourself in that experience. And that way you get to have a first-hand experience of what does it feel like to actually be a learner in that experience. But the one that we will be using for this program is interviews. So you'll have people who will be coming in into the Zoom for them to share their own stories. And you guys will be conducting interviews with them. You'll have an opportunity to also come up with questions that you think will be relevant to gain the insights and understanding of the challenge that you want to know more of as a team. So this is an interview journey in terms of how you can go about conducting your interviews. So introduce yourself as a team, and also the roles that you'll be playing within the team. Frame your interest with regards to why do you want to learn more about this challenge. Also establish a connection with the person. So before you jump into asking about the challenges that they are experiencing in relation to what you guys want to learn more about, establish a connection, ask questions that have nothing to do with the challenge itself, but that are more human in terms of getting to know the person and understanding who they are in the space. And once you have established that connection, then you can start asking questions around the challenge, where you're now seeking stories and also discovering emotions. So you want to ask questions that are open-ended to allow them to share as much information with you as possible. So you don't want to just ask questions that will just lead to a yes or no response, but you want to ask questions that will have them share their own experiences and stories. And also discover emotions. You know, when people are sharing, look at the emotions that are being displayed at different touch points of their story. Maybe when they shared this part of the story, they were angry about it. When they shared this part of the story, they were happy about it. So those are also things to discover, or discoveries that you guys need to look out for as you are listening to the interviewee sharing their story. And also ask as many why questions as you can. If they're sharing something, don't make an assumption that you know, but rather ask a question to say, I hear you saying this, can you please tell me more about that? And that way you are reserving your own assumptions and you're hearing from them in terms of what does it look like from their own perspective. And once you're done, show your gratitude. They gave their time to you. They shared their stories with you. So show some gratitude to them, and then you can let them go in the space. So to continue with tips for interviews, also ask simple and short questions. Give your time to respond. So give your partner time to respond. Also, be mindful of asking more than one question at the time. So ask one question, allow them to share their story. And then if you have a follow-up question, then ask that follow-up question after they've shared their story. Don't ask multiple questions at the same time. Also, do not be afraid of the silence. Sometimes people are thinking, they're still trying to gather their thoughts. So allow for that silence to exist. I know that silence sometimes can be awkward and you want to pitch in and add something to it, but allow it to be there. And then people will share. And also, as I've mentioned, ask a lot of why questions. Don't make any assumptions. Make sure that you ask why questions so that people can share things from their own perspective. I did mention around asking one question to one person at the time. So in this instance, you only be having one person come through in your team spaces. So you won't be having two people in your team spaces for interviews. And also pay attention to body language and facial expression. If I'm saying I'm happy, but my body language is saying something else, and I know also we are restricted to the screen. So just try to see and pay attention in terms of is what they are saying aligned to what you're seeing. And also we will encourage you as they are doing their interview, if possible, if they can switch on their screen so that you're able to have that connection with them. Also search for inconsistencies and contradiction. If someone is saying, I want to save money, but when you ask more questions around their lifestyle, this person is spending as someone who is not intentional about saving. I mean, there's a contradiction that exists there. And also, instead of being judgmental and putting in our own assumptions, it's always quite nice to ask, I'm curious to know why there's a difference here where you're saying you're saving money, but the lifestyle is contradicting to what you're trying to achieve. So, and that way you get to learn more about those contradictions that exist. And also use open-ended question. I think I've mentioned a lot around this one. And also ask neutral question. It's about them. It has nothing to do with us. They are here so that we can learn more from them. And as you conduct your interviews, you are going to have interview roles. So when observing a space and the people in it, it is also helpful to assign roles within the team to create ease and flow within the interview itself. So we'll have this 4 different roles that are here. So you'll have the interviewee, the interviewer, you'll have the note taker, you'll also have the observer, and then you'll have the timekeeper. In the event that perhaps you have 3 people in the team, one person can actually take up 2 roles, where one person can be the observer and the timekeeper as well. So as the interviewer, your role is to be asking the questions. And also, if you find yourself in a position where you have run out of questions, remember you are a team. You are more than welcome to open it to your team to ask if they have anything to add to the conversation. So if you find yourself running out of questions, use your team. They are there to assist you as well. We also have the note taker who will be taking all the notes from the interview. Also, as you're writing your notes, write everything as they say it. Don't shorten your insights based on what you think you should write as taking notes. So write everything as they say it on the boards. And also as the observer, as I've mentioned, pay attention to the body language, pay attention to the facial expressions that are being made as well. Some of the emotional cues that you're able to pick up as they're sharing their story. And the final one is the timekeeper who will be managing time. And so how are you going to be capturing all this information and data? So you'll be using this tool where you will, let me just quickly share in terms of how you're going to be doing this. So this is the tool that you're going to be using where in terms of how to capture all the data that you're going to get from the interview. So we met, so the name and the role and the context. So it's always great to have some context of that person that you're interviewing. If possible, you can have a picture of them. And this is where you'll be taking all the notes. So where it's dark blue, this is the space for the note taker. And then where it says observation, this is the space for the observer. And this is where you'll be capturing your questions that you want to ask so that it's easy for you to still refer to them should there be a need. With that being said, are there any questions from the floor with everything that I've just mentioned so far? Any questions? Okay, so if there are no questions, I also just wanted to share one thing as well. Remember, as you're doing your interviews, the context in which you are working in is understanding the learning experience of formal or informal learning spaces. This is the context in which the challenge exists. However, you are trying to understand how the IDGs can actually be nurtured in those spaces. So when you are doing your interviews and asking questions, always remember that you are doing it in trying to understand how the IDGs actually currently exist within those spaces, exist or not exist in those spaces. So think about questions around, paying attention to maybe how people are collaborating in their learning spaces, how people are actually enabling change in their learning spaces, how people are or learners are relating in their learning spaces, how are they thinking in their learning spaces, or how are they being as individuals in their learning spaces. And this way you are thinking of it from the perspective of how are the IDGs showing up or not showing up in those learning experiences. So this is how we want you guys to ground it into IDGs. So remember, we are working within the context of the learning experiences. However, we are trying to solve the problem within the IDGs. So any questions with the presentation that I've made so far? Okay, so if there are no questions, I am going to ask Lola to send you guys to your team spaces for team check-in. Lola, are the breakout rooms ready?
Yes, they are.
Okay, can you please open them up? Hey, Lola. Hi, Konga.
I see Conga and
Fafali.
Papali.
Hi, Fafali. Can you send Ubuntu back to... Hi, Ubuntu.
Hi, I was added to the wrong group. I'm in group 8.
Group
Eight.
8.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay, we'll move you now.
thank you.
Can also pause the recording.
From their chief spaces. How is everyone feeling? Maybe by a thumbs up. Let's see how are you guys feeling. If good, your thumb should be up. Maybe, nay. Okay, I see a lot of thumbs up. Okay, that should be good. Okay, so I'm going to share the link to the mirror board, and I'll just give you guys 5 minutes to go through to share your feedback on the board, and then we'll just share afterwards. Just quickly give me. Okay, if we can join that mirror board. And if you go to day 2, you can go to day 2. And the reflections for day 2 are my biggest learning about empathy work in the context of a design challenge is, and also what did you enjoy about today and what did you wish for? I'll give you guys 5 minutes. Let's make it 4 minutes.
Deboho, could you please share your sound while you're sharing the screen? I think you're having a more fun experience than us. The vibes are only on your side.
Yeah, you were saying?
I was asking if you could share the music.
Okay, so let's start sharing our insights. Maybe can we have or hear from voices that we haven't heard from before? So what has been your biggest learning with regards to empathy work today? Anyone who hasn't shared before in the group space? It will be nice to hear different voices. Anyone? Okay, or maybe let's look at the info here. Maybe I see another poster that says everyone is doing the best they can, and if you listen carefully, you will hear why. Do you would like to share more around that with regards to what you have learned through that?
So basically, what I meant by that is I think empathy allows us to see that in other people, and it also helps us to see how they are working in an empathetic way and how they apply themselves empathetically.
Love that. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else who would like to share? Or should I volunteer again? Anyone? Okay, and I see another sticky note here that says empathy builds connection which are open and true. Would like to expand more on this, Lenny? Do we have someone who would like to expand more on this learning for today?
I would like to say empathy helps us to value other opinions that are different from ours and value people who are different from us.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me? Okay. I just lost you there. I didn't hear what you said.
Yes, what I meant was that empathy helps us to value the views and perspective of other people and their unique experiences, and helps us be able to appreciate their uniqueness.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you guys for sharing your learnings with regards to empathy. And I hear a lot of conversation coming through in terms of connection, in terms of how it taught you to be able to step into someone's shoes and be able to also reframe from your own assumptions and kind of listen to what other people are saying. So I hope you leave your feedback on the board, because I'm just mindful of time to be able to go through in terms of what you liked and what you wish, because I just want to share with you around documentation and also give you information in terms of what then do you do from here to the following day. So I'm just gonna share my screen with you. Okay, so this is the documentation template that some of your coaches have shared with you. And I know some of you guys have used a different tool to the one that we have here, but also it can help you with regards to some of the prompts that are here that you can use in terms of following through your documentation. So with documentation, the reason why we document is, remember also, this is for the project partner. They are not in the room. They are not part of the discussions. They are not part of the thinking process of the team and the decisions that you make. So documentation is about you showing them how you got to your solution. So it's about sharing how the insights that came through for today, which of the insights stood out for you, which of those insights actually led you to the final solution that you have. Why did you select that final solution? So those are the kind of information that we want you to put on the template so that when the project partner is reading this document, is able to follow through in terms of how you went from your understanding phase to the solution, to testing, what kind of feedback came through from that testing, and how did you actually implement or select the information that you wanted to move forward with. So if you have this template here and you want to use it as a similar to how you would use Google Slide, so how you do that is you will highlight all the frames. And then once you have done that, there is an icon here that says create slide. And once you click on it, it will create these slides for you like this. Let me just put that back. It will create these slides for you like this. And if you want to start using it similar to how you would use your Google Slides, and then this is what will happen. And you can move your slides around as you want. So you can just move them around, or you can insert more slides if you want to. And this way it becomes easier for you to follow through your documentation, and you're also able to edit on the document itself. So this is one way that you can actually use the template similar to how you would use Google Slides if you want to start documenting on the board itself. Then once you're done, you can just click this three dotted dots here. It's not clicking on my side. And then you can just export as PDF and then just share that with us.
Tebogo,
Any
you did that
questions from the
very
team?
quickly. You did that very quickly.
I did that
Do
very
it again,
quickly.
please. One more time for the team.
Okay. Let me do that one more time. Okay, let's go back. Okay, so what you do is that you highlight the entire document. And once you have highlighted, there's an icon on top, this menu bar on top that says create slides. So when you click on it, the document will be aligned in this manner for you. And then once you want to start using it and start compiling your slides, then you click these two arrows here that says focus mode. And then when you click on those, and then it should give you this presentation mode where you're able to type in, you can move in the slides as you wish, you can add pictures and whatever. Then once you're done, you will have the entire presentation aligned like this. And if you want to now send it to us as a PDF version, then you press on more. And then it says export as PDF. Then you just press export as PDF. Did you get that, Kirsten? I hope the coaches got it so that they can show it to you guys.
I was today old, so I'm impressed.
Okay, I see a hand, Roxanne. Yes.
Yes, thanks so much for that demo. I was wondering, is there also a way to share, just to have a share link directly to the slides? I'm only asking for team members who work on their mobile specifically and don't need to go into the big media board, but can share directly to the slides so that they can contribute
On the so that they can I'm not sure. I haven't tried it yet on a cell phone, on a mobile phone. So, but what they can do perhaps is, because they have the templates, they can populate their information maybe on WhatsApp, and then the entire group can just take the info and populate it for them on the templates. Yeah, I think that could be another way to do it, because I'm not sure. I haven't tried it yet on a mobile phone, if it works in that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so I have to let you guys go. Thank you so much for spending, I think I took 8 minutes of your time. But from here, we will meet on Thursday. So what you need to do from here now is, we have given you all the interviewees that we could find on our side. If you feel like you still need more information or to speak to people that we couldn't bring to you, you are more than welcome to do so tomorrow, which is your asynchronous work. So you can do that. And also not just doing interviews, but also just observing the environment that that this challenge exists in, and that way you can bring more information and data to us on Thursday for unpacking. So if you are doing that, just make sure that your data is on the board, because on Thursday we are going to be unpacking that information. Okay. Any questions before I let you guys go? Any questions? Okay, I see hearts, I see celebrations, so it means everyone is good. Thank you, guys. See you on Thursday. Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.